Very good. Okay, so first of all, today we going to start with the Linux. Before we go to the Linux, what is operating system? Okay, so generally it is that one. So before anyway, so one I forget one point is like that, guys. Lot of people think I am came from non-IT background, means like I'm a mechanical guy, I'm a civil guy, I'm a electronics candidate, I'm electrical candidate, ENTC candidate. Okay, I am from something else, or maybe I am from the CSCIT. We already know all these things. Why should we learn kind of stuff? Okay, everyone is equal here. Okay, there some people may know little bit extra previously. Some people don't know at all, but everything is same here. So do not compare with others like they know it, I don't know kind of stuff. Simply think no one knows anything here. Okay, so yeah, we are all here to learn, only learning purpose only we are there. If you have a doubt, ask me immediately. If you don't understand a word, you don't understand a sentence, if you don't understand my way of language, also immediately stop me and ask me again. Okay, if you don't understand a point, we are in online mainly. Okay, online or offline, when you are listening sometimes, okay, after 5 minutes or 10 minutes, mind will go somewhere, you don't get the point. So don't, no problem, even that cases also ask me. Okay, because you are important, you have to learn, that is important. I can teach anything, but you have to learn something, right? So that is very important. Okay, and if you are absent, you must inform in a group. Okay, if you are absent, inform in the group. That is a very important part. Okay, yeah, so that's it. So what is a operating system? Anyone?
It's the system that manages hardware, software resources.
Very good. The system
The
manages
system
both
which
hardware,
interact with the
software,
to the software,
interacts to the interact with the
to the
users.
software.
Yeah, so very good. That's a very good statement. What operating system will do? Interacts your hardware, means like a CPU, RAM, hard disk, all these things. It interacts how to work with that one, and it runs applications. Okay, so I have application. This is a notepad is an application, Google Chrome is an application, this GoToMeeting is an application. Run an application on it. Okay, and provide user interface. Okay, you have to, for what is user interface, you have to interact with it. Provider interact with users. Okay, provide user interface, or you can say interact with user. Okay, so user you can able to interact with the operating system, what he can do, whatever he want to do it. Very simple. It is nothing but a software only. Nothing but a software. Operating system is nothing but a software which interacts with your hardware, runs an application, and interacts with your users, or a provide a user interface. So type of operating system: SOS. Anybody knows what is SOS? Simple operating system. Operating system. Network operating system. Simple operating system. You must tell example for that one. So simple operating system means, okay, it is like a Windows desktop operating system. Like what is Windows desktop operating system? Example, we know XP, Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 10. Okay, these are all simple operating systems. Of course, DOS, Microsoft DOS, MS DOS or DOS is also a simple operating system. Network operating system means server operating systems, Windows servers. Okay, so like a ENT operating system, 2000 server, 2003 server. Of course, I didn't written a older than XP. Okay, I didn't written a older than XP. Okay, so I written from the XP only. 2008, 2012, 2016, 2019, like that. Okay, 22 also there, that is also released. Linux operating system, Unix operating system are an examples of network operating systems. Okay, Mac OS, Mac is also simple operating system. It is not a server. Okay, Linux based and Unix based operating systems are a network operating system. That's why we don't use a Linux operating system as a desktop related usually. Ubuntu all different kind of stuff. Okay. Next, user and task based operating systems. Actually, it is also a type of operating systems only. But when you types means this one or this one, we will get it out. So we can tell both the examples only. This is based on a work related, this is based on a user and task related one. So keep in that mind. Okay, it is like a single user, single task. It is a, so what happened? Single user, single task operating system. Single user, single task. Anybody will give an example for single user, single task? MS DOS only. Okay. So only one user interaction, one user, one task only you can do at a time. So you can't do multiple tasks in a DOS. Usual. Single user, multitask. It is single user, multitask. Any example? Windows servers and Windows desktop operating systems. Okay. So earlier I've written that example. That's why I didn't. I'm not writing that one. So both NT 2000, okay, XP 7, 8, 10, okay, 2003, 2008. Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, okay, correct. Right, right. So like this, it keep going. Okay, both Windows servers and desktop both are single user multitasking. Next one is multi-user multitasking operating system. Okay. Multi-user multitasking operating system. So what is this multi-user multitasking operating system? Linux, Unix based operating systems are a multi-user multitasking. This is a type of operating system. Operating systems are divided into different ways, like a simple operating system, network operating system, yeah, Windows. Okay. Um, one second. One second, guys. Who's this? Hello. It, Okay, sorry guys, I got some phone number. Someone shared my phone number to someone, and they're asking for some different questions. Okay, don't share my phone numbers to anyone. SOS, simple operating system, network operating system, single user, single tasking, single user, multitasking, multi-user, multitasking. So these are the examples of those operating system. Okay, up to now, guys. Next. So what is this Linux? The Linux has a story. Actually, I didn't find my this Linux, basic Linux, something. So many days or no Linux also. Somewhere I put it in a this RSQL. This RSQL. I have my own PPTs. Why? Basic, 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 basic. Works. Linux. Somewhere it is. Maybe this is the one. There is certain names are that for to show that names only. Where are we? Yeah, Linux. Actually, operating system when they build an operating system, they build with the assembly language. Earlier days, before operating system, everything we have to do from the starting. Like you start a machine, that time big machines, right? So you have to start a machine and you have to connect all the cables and all. So later on days, preloaded instructions are there by using assembly language. So they write in assembly language because it directly converts into hex code. So we can easily written means first they will write in a assembly language. When they compile, hex code will be generated. So they feed the hex code. So using the hex code easily convert into binary. So it is understand. So they use a assembly language. Assembly language. Okay. Later on days, lot of people start building a operating system. So one of the operating system is DOS. DOS become Microsoft DOS. Okay. There is a big stories are there about all the operating systems. Next, Unix. They build by laboratories. So yeah, it is open now. So I directly went to F disk. Okay. So there is a yeah, there is starting. Okay, like this. So different organizations start building a different type of operating systems like BSD, FreeBSD, Solaris build a Sun Solaris operating system, Sun microsystem build a Sun Solaris, HP build this HP UX, okay, IBM AIX like a different Linux flavors. So Unix flavors are built. So Unix initially it is assembly language, then it is developed into with the C++ language, C language they develop a Unix operating system. Okay, so Unix actually developed in a assembly language, then it is Unix developed in with the C++ language. Okay, so this is Unix operating system. Okay, in the Unix operating system that took a few people take a rights on a Unix operating system, start building a Unix operating system like a BSD, Berkeley University one BSD, Sun Microsystems for Sun Solaris. Sun Solaris is can be used by any user, any person, you can install in a any kind of hardwares. Okay, basic any common hardwares, like we install Windows systems in a different hardwares, right? Like a different CPUs, it will work. Like a Sun Solaris works in a different CPUs. But HPUX will works in a only HPUX only. HPUX works in a HP related systems. So compulsory hardware must be matches. Sun microsystem currently merged with a, currently it is merged with the Red Hat organization. Sun microsystem now it is in a Oracle. Sun microsystem Java is there, no, like that. So Java and this Solaris everything in a Oracle only now. Okay, so FreeBSD or BSD. Okay, so different type of operating system like IBM AIX kind of operating systems also came up. But there is a guy called Linus Torvald. Okay, whenever we hear certain names, usually we think they are dead, but this guy is not dead. Okay, so in IT people usually very less. Okay, Linus Torvalds. Yes, is there. Okay, Linus Torvalds is the guy. Okay, if you want an interview, TEDx talk is also available in a YouTube, so you can try Linus Torvald TEDx. Okay, he is the person who developed the Linux kernel. Okay, he developed the Linux Torvalds. Actually, developed the Linux kernel. Torvalds spelling is correct, right? Torvalds, yeah, right. Kernel spelling. Okay, Linux kernel. Actually, Linux means it's a kernel, not complete operating system. Yeah, someone put a message. Lot of disturbance. Number of OS in a system like dual port. No, no, no. So it's FreeBSD also one operating system. It's kind of Unix based operating system only. Okay, so like that. Like that, it's a system base means compulsory. This is also Unix, but not a common Unix. It is a specific kind of stuff. Specific hardware is required. Okay, so Linus Torvald developed a Linux kernel. So what is this Linux kernel? Why we call this a Linux or Linux? Some people say it's a Linux. Some people call it as a Linux. Everything is same, guys. Tomatoes, kind of stuff only. Okay, everything is same. The name came from Linus and Unix. So what he done, Linus Torvald, he took a Unix operating system. He took a Unix operating system, and he took the some part of Unix code, and develop his own kernel. Develop his own kernel. Okay, so that he put a Linux. So Linux is basically a kernel. So what is this kernel? Kernel or kernel. So some people call it as a kernel. So that's the different. Okay. So kernel interacts with your hardware. Hardware means your CPU, your RAM, your hard disk, your network. So enter communication to your hardware components. Okay, so you can put etc also. Your keyboard, mouse, monitor, everything is hardware devices only. So using a kernel only, you can able to interact with that one. So kernel is the main part of your operating system. Next part of operating system is shell. Shell interacts with your applications and mainly user. Okay? It provide a user interface also. Shell. Okay, what kind of user interface we have to give it to the user? So that is user interface. Okay, interact with the user commands. Okay, user commands also interact with the user commands also. So Linus Torvald built a Linux kernel, and he gave this kernel as open source. Okay, what is a source? Source means actually how you build a code. Like you written a program, and or you build an application. Okay, you build an application, you install an application, and you are working with a application. That's, as a user side, we know how to work with application, but we don't know what is inside of that application, what code it is written, what code is written in that application, we don't know. So what I said again, what code, what program written in that particular application, we don't know. We know the user interfaces only. What is a open source? Open source means it is the internal code of that application or a software or a operating system is open to everyone. So it means anybody can able to view the main code of application or a operating system of operating system. That's it. Okay, so what is the source code? Means the actually what program inside of a application or operating system kind of stuff. Okay, open source means it is anybody can able to view the program code in the particular application or operating system. So that is called, we are saying, open source. Okay, so he given the Linux kernel as kernel as a open source. He given to open source. So for that one, there is a general public license is there, GPL. It is means general public license. General public license. Yeah, guys, ignore my spellings. Okay, but understand what I'm telling. GPL, okay, general public license. So what is this GNU general public license? Okay, license spelling. That's what is this GNU? GNU. Okay, earlier days, operating system. If anybody having an build an operating system, so what they will do, they will sell it, or you have to hire a person to operate the operating system. So he will write an operating system for a company, and a lot of payment will be there. For general public people or any small organizations, they can't invest more money on a software guy. Okay, that time, because lot of hardware is a demand, but again you have to invest for an operating system, that is very difficult, of course. So this Linux is changed the entire thing. So so using to take a license, GPL is a general public license, and they taken a license for a kernel is GNU means GNU, not Unix. This is a terminology. GNU means GNU, not Unix. Again, if you take GNU not Unix type only. It is not a Unix. It is a Linux. It is a Linux. And what is the advantage of that? This Linux is the kernel is open source. Means main source code is open to everyone. Main source code is open to everyone. Means source code of Linux is free and open to everyone. Okay, is free and open to everyone. And anyone can take or download Linux source code, meaning is kernel, and develop and distribute their own version. Okay, so that is it. What I said, anyone anyone can take the Linux kernel and they develop their version of operating system. Okay, so Linux source kernel, so develop and distribute their own operating system. So Linux distributions. So if you take Linux distributions, so what are the different Linux distributions in the market is important is Red Hat. So Red Hat is one of the Linux distributions. Red Hat is one of the Red Hat distribution. CentOS, Fedora. Anybody can also tell, no problem, guys. Okay? Because you are engineering or anyway you will use it, no? Fedora, Debian, Ubuntu, Ubuntu, Ubuntu. Okay, Linux Mint, scientific Linux. Scientific that is yeah. This is scientific license. Okay, so you can download, that is also one version of Linux only. Okay, scientific Linux, this is a one kind of Linux. Laboratories they use it. This is a one kind of Linux only. So when we type, so people think it is different one. No, it is a only mainly scientific license kind of stuff. These are the enterprise Linux. These are enterprise Linuxes. Oracle is also there, no? Oracle Enterprise Linux. Oracle Enterprise Linux is there. Debian is there. SUSE, SUSE, Open SUSE. SUSE is there, so Open SUSE is there. Like a different type of Linux distributions are there. Okay, this is also very important question, guys. Not silly, I'm telling. Okay, so everything is a part of your interview questions and part of my subject also. Okay, that's why I'm going again and again. So one little bit. So what? Okay, so this is um, different type of Linux distributions. Otherwise, you can type in a Google. So like Linux distributions. Okay, like this: Arc Linux, Fedora Linux, SUSE Linux, Kubuntu. Ubuntu gun. This now it is Kubuntu. Okay, Antix, Peppermint OS, Bodhi Linux. Okay, Parrot OS. Okay, Ubuntu, Kali. You know, guys, Kali Unix. Okay, Kali is, earlier we called that one as a backtrack. Okay, earlier we called this one as a backtrack. Now we call it as a Kali. It's a Kali Unix. Is so Kali Linux. We use it for ethical hacking. Okay, ethical hackers. We use the Kali Unix. Okay, so that is a specific Linux distribution also. Okay, so this is, yeah. Okay, so it's so different type of Linux distributions are there. Yeah, someone is trying to speak, but
What is it?
What is
What
the
is the difference between Unix and Linux, sir?
difference between? Why is this cut? Okay, put it in the chat box at least. Put it in the chat box. Good question. That is first question. Shahid already posted. That is one question. Plus, it is always important one is what it is. Next one is what is the differences. Okay. So this first question it is Shahid. So anyway, that is the next point anyway. So that is very good. So guys, look at the Unix. Normally, we think Unix is that is also free operating system. Of course, for us is a Windows is also a free operating system. How many people really purchase the Windows operating system? So it is like that, but actually Unix is not free operating system. It is also registered version only, or a Butler distribution. So very limited distributions. Okay, so very limited in a Linux distributions. Linux and Unix are alike. So Linux is also called Unix like OS. It means Linux and Unix basically both properties are almost same. Okay, okay. So Unix like a OS, but it is not a Unix. It is not a Unix. Okay, Linux kernel is open to anyone. So Linux kernel is a open source operating system. Okay, open to anyone. Anybody can take Linux and they develop their own operating system and they can distribute the Linux operating system to anyone. No proprietary, no rules for that one. So anybody can take a Linux kernel, download the Linux latest version of kernel, and you can do it. See, kernel. You can just download. You can download it. Okay. This is the linux.kernel kernel.org. Simply you can download the latest version of Linux, and then you can develop your Linux operating system. You can distribute of the things. So you download the kernel, and you can write any shell on it, and both will work. So that is the main thing. And Linux having a lot of distributions, but Unix has a limited distributions. So Linux um, having a lot of distributions.
Sir, afterwards you will provide notes, right?
Yeah, I will give you
You
these
will share.
notes, and I will forward the PPT also. Okay, but compulsory read it once while watching a video. I will share the videos also, but while watching a video or maybe reading the notes, compulsory go through it. Combine all the things and verify. You can create your own notes also. No problem. Okay, not a open source. It is. Lot of people think it is a free and it is open source. Guys, free is different from open source. Okay, and of course, Unix is not completely free also. There is a few things. Even a Linux, not all the editions are not. Okay, it's a open source mainly, but both are same. Both will use same shell. Shell generally, in generally, both shells are a same only. Like we use a bash shell. Okay, shell, T shell. These are so common shells we use in both the things. Okay, both we use both side. We use a bash shell. Shell means Bonnie shell only. Okay. Bonnie again shell, Bonnie shell, E shell, C shell. Lot of shells are there. Same thing only. Okay. Both are mainly CLI based. Okay, both are mainly CLI based. Both are mainly CLI based. Open source means any can take it and they can distribute it, but Unix don't have that one. Okay. Um, Not at all suitable for desktop OS like our Windows operating system. Okay. Not at all suitable for desktop OS. Went to desktop version is also there. Yeah, that is second question. Okay, that is a second question. So who asked second question? Akhil asked second question. That is, what is the difference between, frankly say, difference between Windows and Linux, and why mostly we are using a Windows operating system? Okay, that is very easy to tell. Linux and Unix is difficult to tell. Okay, so we have a Ubuntu desktop version, but in a Unix desktop versions are not there. Okay, exactly, say instead of selling not suitable. Okay, Unix based desktop OS not yet developed. Okay, so in a desktop versions Unix, Ubuntu is there, Linux Mint is there. Okay, a lot of other also available, so a lot of Firefox based operating system and this kind of stuff is also available. Okay, what I said mainly shell is same, means almost basic commands are same, not all commands but basic commands are same. So mainly developed by mainly used for HP servers. Okay, IBM and mainframes. Okay, mainframes in that locations only. Okay, so not general administration, but so very big companies use Unix operating system. Very big Unix operating system. Linux is different distributions are there, like means okay, exactly what we are not getting. It is cost costly anyway. Costly environments like a mainframes. If you see the mainframes word, it is very big one. Linux we don't use in a mainframes. It's used in a it's general. Also use general purpose servers. General purpose servers we use it. Okay, Linux and Unix is very difficult to tell differences because Linux is a Unix like a operating system, but it is not Unix. Okay, and we don't say like a Linux is free, Unix is also free, kind of stuff, because Unix is not a free one. Of course, Solaris, Sun Solaris, or a Solaris 10 and Solaris 11, we can download it directly from internet. Okay, so Solaris currently in Oracle now 10 or 11 download freely. Okay, others not. FreeBSD also free. FreeBSD also free. Framework is different. Framework meaning is the structure. Framework means structure. Okay. Mainframes is different. Mainframe is different. Mainframe is a server. For example, you know, supercomputers is a heavy, costly computer, very high speed computers are supercomputers. The next version of data center is mainframes only. So mainly the mainframe computers are used by banking systems because large amount of data is there, and high speed data communication calculations should be required. Railways department also use a mainframes. Railway departments use it, like that. Transportation, like air force department use a mainframes because large amount of data within a fraction of seconds the process should be done and transfer the data also. So that is a banking sector, railway sectors, these are all the main things. Okay. Mainframes, it's a very big computers. And next level of computers are our data centers, our data center web servers, or normal computers like a PCs, computers are there, laptops are there. These are next level, down levels. Okay, not that much high performance you will get it. Mainframes are differently computers, IBM mainframes, AIX, kind of stuff. Okay. Yeah, another important question is, what is the difference between Windows and Linux? So compulsory question, guys. This question and the Linux and Unix difference question. Okay. So compulsory. This is also important question. So first of all, we should know about what about a Windows. Okay, and the Linux. I will compare with this. What you know about a Windows is it is a Microsoft proprietary. Okay. Otherwise, you can type. And my keyboard is not listening to me. This is this way. Microsoft proprietary. Yeah, now since morning, I fully prepared, but I should not do that. These things. I need exercise. Okay. Windows operating system is a Microsoft proprietary. No proprietary. No proprietary. There is no proprietary kind of stuff. What is proprietary? Warner. Without a Microsoft permission, I can't use it. Without a Microsoft permission, so we can't change it also. Okay. Next, it is not a open source. Okay, and the important one is it is a open source. Okay, we cannot alter or develop kernel of Windows OS. We can alter or develop kernel. Okay, so we can change it because it's a open source, right? So you can change in a Linux, but we cannot change in the Unix. Okay, um, no case sensitive. What is a case sensitive? What is case sensitive? Capital A, small a. In Windows,
Uppercase
both are
not.
same.
Yes.
Yeah. In a Linux, for example, I put a Akil. In Linux, these two are different. In Windows, these two are same. So that's the difference. Okay. It is a
For
case
command
sensitive.
lines, sir.
Command line. Everything, including data also. You created two files, um, and one file with some cap letter is different is there, so it is immediately say it is both are different only. So compulsory keep it in mind. Guys, we are learning Linux, so compulsory remember Linux is a case sensitive. Compulsory cap letters, small letters, you have to keep it in mind for everything. For everything. Okay. Even we can't see what is the kernel, what is the shell programming, what is inside a Windows operating system. We can't see. In Linux, we can see it. And mainly, Windows operating system is mainly GUI based operating system. Okay, of course, there is a commands are there in a Windows operating system, but mainly GUI based operating system. Okay, this is a CLI based operating system. Of course, it Linux GUI based Linux is also available, but most of the Linux we use CLI based. Okay, it is a single user multitasking type, and this is, guys, tell me, multi user multitasking. It means multiple users can log into the Linux machine, and only single user at a time. Only one user can at a time can able to log into the things. Someone put a question, Krishna Vamsi. Why Linux is more secure than Windows? Yeah, this is always a one question people will tell. So Windows, Linux is more secure. Of course, guys. I said like Krishna Vamsi is a very good person. It does not mean Karthik or Akhil or Vaishnavi or Abhijit, Abdullah. There are bad persons. Can we say? Is Krishna Vamsi is a good person? I said. Does not mean all others are bad persons, right? So same thing is goes. Linux is a secure one. Windows is also secure. Very good, very good. That's the question. What is GUI? Graphic user
interface.
interface. Okay.
It's a PUBG moving things on.
Why you are going to PUBG now?
It's like I'm saying a basic example.
Okay.
It changes immediately on whatever.
Well, we have a
UI.
Windows operating system, guys. You can look at the screen. You want to manage, you want to delete it directly by right click. You can able to do it, right? You can move the data, and you can administrate this Windows machine. Go to settings or a control panel. Okay, so you can close the window, you can open the window, you can kill the process by using simple mouse click. You can look at what is going on, multiple things you can able to look at this one. So this is the graphical user interface only. So I'm looking at a browser. Okay, I'm looking at another tab like that. So I am doing this GUI mode. CLI mode means, simply if I go to the command line, this is CLI. Sorry. Okay, so I put a comments, I can't see anything. So if you put in a full screen mode, there is no graphical kind of stuff. Only everything what I do, I will do from here only. So for example, I go to E drive. Okay, I want to clear CLS. Okay, so everything I have to do by command lines only. CD projects, no, projects here, what are the files are there. I want to run some file, for example, that Python file is there. Demo py. Okay, so it displaying something. Okay, so I want to read that file. Type demo like this. Okay, so what I have to do, so I have to do everything in by command lines only. That is called a CLI based, command line based command. So what is a GUI based? To do that one, so very simple, I will go to the folder. Okay, go to E drive. So I want to go for E drive. Now I can able to look it very clearly. E drive, go to the projects, and this is the file I operated, and these are the files I have, and these are the folders I have. So I can look at that things also. Okay, I can operate, I can work with the GA. So graphical user interface. Yeah, graphical user interface. Very good. So CLI, command line interface, command line interface. So I think sir also put some here. See it is. TUI is also there in Linux. We have a in a new Linux we have a TUI also. Okay, so mainly CLI based. Of course, we have a GUI and CLI. Sorry, TUI. Okay, text user interface kind of stuff. TUI. Okay, text based user interface or a terminal user interface also we can say terminal user interface or a text based user interface. Okay, so these are a secondary part, not a primary to ours. Okay, what I'm going to do is don't see separately, we separate this one, so we don't put here. Of course, CLI, PowerShell, this is also a command line tool. Okay, so PowerShell is also one of the shell interactive means command line based related one only. Okay, so GUI based CLI means regular command line like a CMD type. Okay, command line type means CMD and PowerShell both are commands only. Okay, CLI based CMD commands, commands and PowerShell both are there, but mainly we operate in a GUI based on. Linux is mainly CLI based, so CLI operations only. Okay, so you can put a what is CLI, what is TUI, what is PowerShell. Okay, so we can get it, guys. Again, that is also very important question Krishnavamsi asked. That is why Linux is more secure than a Windows. And Linux, when we are going to the Linux features, they said Linux is a more secure. It does not mean Windows is not at all secure. It has become like a, nowadays news and movies and serial kind of stuff only. Okay, police are don't do anything kind of stuff only. Okay, hero will secure everyone. How many heroes are there in a real time? Okay, so it is not like that. It is like, so Linux is more secure and Windows is also having a secure, but there is a small difference is there. There is a small difference between in a security level. By default Windows is highly secure. If Linux is secure and Windows is not at all secure, then why we are using a line Windows? Even that question also I got it by Akil. The most of the companies provide a Microsoft OS means Windows OS only. We cannot much aware of Linux. What is the advantage of Linux over the Windows? Okay, so that is also very beautiful question. It is okay. So guys, look at here. Windows by default it is very secured operating system, both Windows desktops and what we can say, and Windows servers also. Okay, by default both are secure. Even Linux is a open source. You know the source code. Okay, you know how to open a key. Okay, everybody knows how to open a lock. Then how can you say it is a secure? Okay, so like that it is there. So you see it is Windows is a very good operating system and very good with a user interface because it's a graphical user interface. That's why most of the people are use Windows operating system commonly, and desktop version is more popular than any other operating system. Desktop version of Windows is more popular than any operating system. Okay, next it is a very secure, so virus kind of stuff what happens here, but problem is very highly used Windows operating system used everywhere, and the security You cannot create your own security in your Windows operating system because it is already by default it is secure. Okay, so you lock the door and you need to stand at the door, right? So you have to go and happily sleep. Okay, so you need to do your own security part here. Okay, and it is by default a secured one. The problem is Windows operating system is widely used. Lot of people use a Windows operating system. Second one is the security inside is a default security, not false security. It's a default. It is secured one. So people will create people who are creating a viruses, okay, or hacking things like trojans, malwares, spywares. These are all mostly created for a Windows based operating system only. Okay, most of the viruses are created for a Windows based operating system only. So whenever these things are came into your desktop by through pen drive, through internet, to torrent websites, that's a torrents are very dangerous, guys. Okay, through torrent website, third party download website, like you download something from Microsoft or main websites, your download it is okay, but you download from a third party website like a forshare.com, okay, filehippo.com. So these are a third party websites. Like you want to download a VLC player, you go to VLC player website and you download a VLC player application, okay, but you go to the some third party website and you download VLC player, then there will be a problem. Okay, in the morning also my system, my antivirus pop up with the five viruses found in my system, which is I downloaded very so many days back only, very 2 years or 3 years back files also there in that one. Now they it find it contains some virus, or maybe virus is infected to the certain files. Okay, so it is like that will happens. Okay, so third party website, so these trojans, malwares, spywares is easily came into your system, but your system is Windows system. In that cases, okay, if you are Windows system easily interacts with the .exe self executable files. No need to do everything in a stuff setup wise, right? So even the AnyDesk is also very dangerous one. So it is .exe file. Okay, self extracted file. So if you double click on it, it opens. If you double click on it, it automatically opens. If you there is a lot of shortcuts, like it is self executable files are easily executable, no need of a person to be attended, no need to do multiple steps to install an application. Okay, and a lot of viruses are self executable, means .exe files easily execute in your Windows system. That's why Windows operating system is most prone to viruses. Okay, and most of people are trying to attack on a Windows operating system. That way it is less secure than a Linux operating system. Next, in come to the Linux operating system, it is free open source kind of stuff. You know, in Windows we have a administrator, both servers and a desktop operating system we have a administrator. It is very difficult to reset the admin password. Okay, but in a Linux we have a administrator name is root, and by textbook, like if you go to take a course from Red Hat Enterprise Linux course, okay, Red Hat Enterprise Linux course, you take a course, in that course itself they will tell how to reset the root password. Is an administrator password in Windows. Admin password is very difficult, mostly impossible. Okay, so that too you must be direct interactions, third party software is required to reset it. Okay, and here without using any kind of extra software kind of stuff, directly you can reset a root password. Is a main administrator of your Linux operating system. Then how can we tell Linux is a more secure? Okay, so it is always tell, already I told in Windows you don't need to do any securities because it's by default it is secure. Linux by default it is not secure. By default it is not a secure. You have to create a secure, like a file level security, user level security, network level security. You have to create your own security by yourself by encrypting the data or by access permissions. Like that you have to secure it. Okay, so because of you are securing itself, and Linux is a CLI base, so usually you don't understand that one. So usually a regular person or regular hacker don't understand the Linux what you are done it, what you are done it. Okay, think like this, guys. You have a some, like a gold ring is there, or maybe a golden necklace is there, or some silver necklace is there. A important document or a money is there. You put it in your vault. Okay, very secure vault. Okay, now thief is came. Okay, thief is came, and where he will search, he will search here only, right? It is a secured one, because you need a password to open this box. It is secured, but he will search it here only. He will try to crack this one only. He knows where it is located by generally. And this is another person, you know just like some people are there, it's like me. We put somewhere, like maybe in a clothes, maybe some in a regular drawer. Okay, regular drawer, or maybe they put in some pocket. Maybe they hang in the at the window somewhere. So thief came. What they will do, you'll try to search in a secure place only, like this. But they don't cannot search in every place, right? It is like that. Linux is self security. Linux is a self security. If you secure it, it is a very secured one. So no one can able to touch your data. You can able to create your own security because it's a open source. You can write your own code and no one knows what you written. Also, what is done, you done. No one knows. No one will understand. Windows is like this. Windows is this scenario because someone try to attack on you, so by yourself you will accepting that .exe files, you are executing that .exe file by yourself only. Or maybe once it is came into your system, it try to spread into your system by Windows, because it's a .exe, a self executable kind of stuff. These .exes won't work in a Linux. .exes won't work in a Linux. The Windows based virus files won't work in a Linux. Linux anyway don't do any self execution styles until unless a user or administrator will do it. And for a desktop purpose or a server purpose, mainly desktop purpose, Linux we don't use it. So large number of users or millions of people don't use the Linux. Okay, billions of people use a Windows and only millions of people use Linux, and Linux mainly used for a server purpose, not for a desktop purposes. That's why the security is different. Okay, it is having a default secure and more secure than Linux, more secure because it's a self security you can able to create. Okay, and of course widely desktop and server versions used widely. Server Linux servers very less. Like how many people really use Ubuntu desktops? How many people use Windows desktop? Okay, so Windows both s- desktop and server both will be used, but in a Linux is a mainly server purpose only. So server is automatically they put in a server system, means physically you cannot touch the servers. Like everyone cannot touch the physical servers. Okay, remember that one. So always server they keep it in a separate location, not in a common location, right? So this is my servers are there, either it is Windows server or a Linux server. So they'll keep all these servers and routers, firewalls, okay, everything they put it in a separate chamber server room. Physically it is secured. Physically it is secure. Okay. Through network anyway it is secure. Okay. Of course through network also we have to provide a security, of course, but physically it is secure. So if you don't touch no physical access to the server, usually you cannot change anything. Of course it is secured. Okay. And Linux is mainly used servers. Guys, lot of people concentrate on secure not secure it. Important is both are secured one. Both are secured one. In Linux you have to give security, you have to give the security part. Next, very important, another important, so like commonly we know that one, it is very lightweight. Lightweight means consumes consumes less CPU, RAM resources, and hard disk resources. Okay, it is heavyweight. What is heavyweight? Anybody? Consumes more CPU, RAM, hard disk sources. That is important, guys. If I use a Windows 10 take minimum, okay, for example, Windows 10 GUI mode, right? So Windows 10 will take minimum 10 GB disk space, okay, and compulsory 2 GB RAM is required. 2 GB RAM, it's a slower one. 2 GB RAM is required. If I install some application, if I use some applications, it will take more space. Okay, like that. But here it is in a Linux. If you take a CentOS with the GUI mod, there is a two modes of things are there. GUI mod, the basically you require a 2 GB. Higher is occupation. I'm not asking. I'm not talking about minimum disk space. I'm telling how much it will occupy. It is a 2 GB hard disk. Okay, CD RAM. So 2 GB or more than 2 GB, 2 to maximum 4 GB RAM. Even 4 GB also won't take it. Okay. Even a RAM is requirement is 1 or at maximum 1 to 2 GB RAM. Easily you can maintain. Faster it will work. Okay. 2 GB GUI means 2 GB is compulsory required. Okay. If you want, I will show you my virtual machines. Okay. So here it is. Linux web server. So see it is, it's I installed something like it is around 5.5 GB. Okay, 5.5 GB it is consuming. But if you go to the Windows 10, yeah, this is Windows server. Okay, we'll go to this Windows server. It is taking almost 37 GB along with some applications and all. Okay, some data, not much data also. Okay, so this is a Windows 10. So Windows 10 18 GB. See, that's the difference. When you start using, of course it will take some size. Like here it is, I installed DevOps inside. It is taking 11 GB with all the applications I installed, DevOps related applications, 11 GB. Okay, Windows 10 11 GB, it is very, will take lot of consume resources. This is an example, like how much time, how much it consumes, how much it is consumes in a things. Don't put a GUI. Difference is that GUI and CLI both are having a differences also there. If you need to see the CLI mode, also I will show you. Yeah, this is Windows 10, that is CLI mode completely. No, no. This is also Windows machine only. See, 48 GB, almost like a 48 GB, only for, okay, only for Windows 10 with DevOps. This is 11 GB Linux with DevOps. That's the difference. All are installed. Both all the same are having same configurations. So that is very important, guys. Again, I'm going and I will give you a break. I didn't check the time also. Okay, so once we will go back to the Linux machines. So first of all, what is an operating system? Operating system is nothing but a piece of software. Device is nothing but a software. Okay, a compulsory go to some statements. I'm giving just interactive statements only. Operating system interacts with the hardware, runs on applications, and provide a user interface, interact with the users. Types of different operating systems are there. Simple operating system, network operating system. Simple operating system is a like a desktop type operating system. Like you have a desktop operating system means it's a simple operating system only, like a XP, Windows 7, Windows 10, DOS, Ubuntu, desktop is also is a simple operating system only. Network operating systems are Windows server based operating system because they provide a service to the through network. They are providing a certain services through network. So these are the Windows servers operating systems, and Linux and Unix also server based operating systems only. Okay, next one is single user single task operating system, single user multitask operating system, multi user multitask operating system. Okay, single user single task operating system means Microsoft DOS. Single user multitask operating system is Windows desktops. Windows server operating systems are a single user multitasking operating system. Multi user multitask operating systems are Linux and Unix operating system. So in comes to the operating system, initially they develop with the assembly language. Okay, so one of the language is earlier days is DOS they are using. Next is Unix. So later Linux operating systems later developed with C, C++, and some of operating systems are developed with the Java also. And Microsoft use .NET, use a .NET. Okay, so different operating systems build with a different type of operating systems are there. Okay, Unix is a different type of Unix operating systems also there. There's a Linus Torvalds is a guy who took the Unix operating system and developed the Linux kernel, and he given the Linux as a open source. Okay, so here what is this kernel? Kernel and shell both are main parts of your operating system. Linux and shell are a main part of your operating system, main part of operating system. So kernel interacts with your hardware and manages the hardware resources. Okay, interacts with the hardware means interact with the hardware and manage the hardware resources. Shell interacts with the applications and user commands and user interfaces by shell only. Next, so Linux kernel is a open source, so anybody can take the source code and develop their own Linux based operating system, and they can able to distribute it to the anyone. So different distributions of Linux operating systems are there. Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Red Hat means RHEL, Red Hat Enterprise Linux, Oracle Enterprise Linux, okay. CentOS Linux only, Fedora, Debian, Scientific Linux, Ubuntu, SUSE, OpenSUSE, Kali, like that. So many kind of distributions are there. At least you must give some examples distributions of Linux operating system. Next, difference between Linux and Unix. Linux and Unix both are same kind of stuff only. Both use same kind of shell based only. Okay, so different shells give you different type of commands and different type of user interactions. Both are CLI based operating system only, but Unix have a limited distributions. Linux having a lot of distributions in the market because of Linux is open source operating system. Unix is not open source operating system. Okay, next one is, so Unix don't have any proprietary kind of stuff. Unix don't have any proprietary, but there is a certain proprietary editions also there, like a HP developed the HP Unix, IBM developed the IBM AX, mainframes like a Z by OS kind of stuff, different distributions also there. Okay, so you can get a free operating system developed by Sun Solaris now currently in Oracle. Okay, the Solaris 10 and 11. Okay, there are certain distributions also available. So Linux is also having a certain desktop Linux editions also there, like a Ubuntu desktop versions, and Linux Mint is a desktop version is only there. And generally mainly we use a Linux in a server based operating systems, regular server operating systems only. Mainframes mainly use Unix as a backend operating system. Next one is a difference between Windows and Linux. So Windows is a GUI based operating system. Linux is CLI based operating system. Of course, in Linux also we have a GUI and TUI kind of interface is also there. In Windows is we have a CLI and command line and PowerShell kind of Linux CLI based options also available. Windows is a single user and multitasking, and Linux is a multi-user multitasking. So Windows is not a open source, and it is a Microsoft proprietary operating system. Linux no proprietary, and it is a open source operating system. And we cannot alter the both kernel and a shell of a Windows operating system. We can't change Windows operating system. We can't alter the Windows source code because it's not a open source and source code is not available. Even if you pay amount, also you cannot able to do it. Windows we can Linux we can alter the and develop the kernel and as well as shell of a operating system. Okay, and Windows is a no case sensitive and Linux is a case sensitive, mainly in a commands and as well as a um, data. Everything is case sensitive in a Linux. In a Windows, so it is no case sensitive. So make sure that few things may be a case sensitive, but mostly it is not case sensitive. And Linux is a more secure because you can give your own security. By default Windows is also a secured one. Next, mainly Windows utilize the resources heavily because it's a GUI mode. GUI usually use resources heavily, like a CPU, RAM, and disk resources, which is consumes more, and Linux is consumes very less resources. Okay, that's it. So that's whatever we discuss. And Windows and Linux, maybe there is a few more points to points of differences are there. And of course, self execution files like a .exe files won't execute. Windows. Okay, and .exe not execute. Why I'm telling like this? Why? Because of some people will like it when you say this point, like a .exe don't execute in Linux and .exe execute, because most of the viruses are self executable files. So these kind of executable files won't work in Linux. So that's why virus effect in the Linux is very less. Okay, that's why virus in Linux is less. Okay, so that's because of most of the Linux files, Trojan files, spywares are mostly built for a Windows operating system, not for Linux operating system. And Linux is widely used for a server-based operating system, not for a desktop purpose. Of course, there is desktop things are there. Windows, both desktop and Linux server versions also there. Okay, so this is about your Linux and Unix. And guys, that's it. Next one, I will tell about important point means after break. So I will tell about what to download. Okay, what are the things you have to download and installation, VMware, workstation. Some people already knows this one. Okay, so this is one important point. And next, download. First, I will tell download Saint Voice. Okay. Next, before the going to that one, okay, file system hierarchy. The file system hierarchy is also there. Okay, file system hierarchy is also there. So that is first one, and partitions. That's a different type of partitions sizes. First we'll go to this one because these two this part well known by 9 people. Okay, so then 10 people are new to this thing. Okay, so I will go like this. So after break, take a 10 to 15 minutes break. Okay, so now it is at 12:21. So be back at when? So 12:35, 12:30 and 12:35. Okay, so this is the thing. So 12:35 will start. So relax or have some tea or coffee or anything. Okay, so that's it. Take a break. So meanwhile, I will all do other